In the heart of a tropical forest, villagers had developed an ingenious technique for capturing monkeys without harming them. They would pierce a hole in a coconut just large enough for a monkey's hand to slip in, but not large enough for it to come out when closed. Inside, they would place some tasty seeds. The monkey, attracted by the smell, would slip its hand into the opening and grasp the seeds. But as soon as it closed its fist, its hand became trapped. To regain its freedom, it need only open its hand and let go of the seeds. Yet most monkeys preferred to remain captive rather than give up their prize. A traveler observing this scene asked a local sage, "Why don't these intelligent animals understand that they simply need to open their hand?" The sage smiled gently. "Look around you, my friend. How many humans remain prisoners of their own closed fist? How many cling so tightly to what they believe they possess that they lose their freedom of movement? The monkey at least doesn't create stories about the necessity of its chains." This parable reveals a truth that our era struggles to recognize. Often, what imprisons us is not the force of external circumstances, but the intensity with which we grip our inner holdings. Letting go is not a weakness, but an art that teaches us when to tighten and when to release, when to hold firm and when to let go. In a civilization that has made control a cardinal virtue and total mastery an ideal of success, the very idea of letting go can seem dangerous or even irresponsible. We have developed a true addiction to control that manifests in all aspects of our existence. We want to master our emotions, predict the future, direct others' reactions, program our successes with machine-like precision. This obsession with control paradoxically reveals our profound existential insecurity. The more fragile and unpredictable we feel internally, the more we seek to rigidify our external environment to create an illusion of stability. This strategy, understandable in its intention, produces the opposite effect of what is sought. It makes us even more vulnerable to the unexpected and exhausts us in maintenance efforts that can never be definitively accomplished. Authentic letting go differs fundamentally from defeatist abandonment or passive resignation. It is not about giving up our aspirations or ceasing to act to improve our situation, but about learning this subtle wisdom that distinguishes what truly depends on us from what inevitably escapes us. This discrimination liberates enormous energy that was previously wasted in vain efforts and makes us available for more just and effective action. The Taoist tradition has developed a remarkably sophisticated science of this art of creative letting go. The Tao Te Ching teaches us the sage does not act according to personal desires, and yet everything is accomplished. He does not attach himself to results, and yet nothing is lacking. This apparent contradiction reveals the secret of the way, this action without forcing that constitutes one of the master keys of Taoist wisdom. This paradoxical effectiveness of letting go manifests at three interconnected levels of our human experience. The first level concerns our relationship to the body and physical tensions that often reflect our psychological tensions. Our sedentary and stressful era generates a chronic accumulation of muscular tensions that eventually create profound energetic blockages. These bodily tensions are not just physical discomforts, but crystallized memories of our psychic resistances. Each contracted muscle tells the story of a fear that doesn't want to let go, of an anger that refuses to dissolve, of a control that doesn't consent to relax. Learning bodily letting go means beginning to dialogue with these memories to progressively invite them to relax. This bodily relaxation is not achieved through will, but through benevolent attention. When we bring peaceful consciousness to our zones of tension, they naturally begin to release as if our loving presence dissolved the energetic knots formed by years of tension. This discovery reveals one of the secrets of letting go. It operates more through welcome than through effort, more through love than through will. Zhuangzi illustrates this natural relaxation through the story of the sage who had learned to sleep standing up. My body is like a dry tree, my heart like cold ashes. My true knowledge does not depend on reasoning, for my mind no longer agitates. Empty and peaceful, I no longer even know who I am. This description evokes this state of total letting go, where consciousness frees itself from all limiting identifications to rediscover its original spacious nature. The second level of letting go concerns our relationship to emotions and inner states. Our culture of emotional performance has accustomed us to wanting to control our feelings as we control our actions. We exhaust ourselves chasing away unpleasant emotions and artificially maintaining positive states, creating a form of interior tyranny that cuts us off from our natural spontaneity. Emotional letting go teaches a radically different approach. Instead of fighting against our difficult emotions or identifying totally with them, we develop this capacity to be with them without being them. This witnessing presence transforms our relationship to all our inner states. We cease being victims of our moods to become conscious spaces that can temporarily welcome them. This transformation liberates considerable energy that was previously consumed in emotional resistance. Our emotions, even the most difficult ones, regain their natural function of information and energetic movement. Instead of stagnating in us because we refuse them or overwhelming us because we identify with them, they can circulate freely and accomplish their role as inner guides. Laozi tells the story of a man who had learned to navigate emotional storms like an experienced sailor navigates ocean storms. He didn't seek to calm the waves, but to dance with them. He didn't resist the wind, but used its force to advance. Thus even the most violent emotions became his allies to reach the port of serenity. This metaphor reveals the subtle art of emotional letting go. It doesn't consist of suppressing our affective reactions, but of developing this inner suppleness that can creatively use all our energies, even those that initially seem disturbing or destructive. The third level of letting go, perhaps the most delicate, concerns our relationship to results and future projections. Our mind has this natural tendency to want to foresee, plan, guarantee the outcome of our efforts according to our specific expectations. This anxious anticipation often makes us miss present opportunities and rigidifies us in the face of inevitable course changes. Mental letting go doesn't ask us to renounce our aspirations, but to learn this subtle wisdom that knows how to maintain a clear direction while remaining open to the unpredictable modalities of its realization. This creative openness often allows the emergence of solutions and opportunities that our controlling mind could never have imagined. This creative flexibility reveals one of the most beautiful dimensions of letting go. It opens us to conscious collaboration with this creative intelligence that constantly operates in the universe. Instead of exhausting ourselves imposing our limited plans on complex reality, we learn to become conscious collaborators with this cosmic creativity that knows how to orchestrate events in infinitely more subtle and effective ways than our personal strategies. This creative collaboration transforms our relationship to failure and disappointments. Events that don't correspond to our expectations cease to be experienced as personal failures, to be welcomed as precious information about necessary adjustments to our path. This receptivity to course corrections that life sends us develops a superior form of intelligence that can take advantage of all events, even the most disconcerting. But perhaps the deepest resistance to letting go comes from our fear of irresponsibility and chaos. We often have the impression that releasing our control would be equivalent to sinking into negligence or losing all capacity for influence over our existence. This fear reveals a fundamental confusion between control and responsibility, between mastery and commitment. Authentic letting go doesn't make us irresponsible, but on the contrary, makes us responsible at a deeper level. It teaches us to respond to situations with our entire being, rather than with our conscious will alone. This integral response mobilizes resources: intuition, creativity, bodily wisdom, emotional intelligence, that remain inaccessible as long as we cling to exclusive mental control. This mobilization of our complete resources reveals one of the most liberating discoveries of letting go. We are infinitely more intelligent and creative than our conscious mind suggests. This expanded intelligence manifests fully only when we cease wanting to direct everything from our small surface consciousness to trust the vaster wisdom that animates our entire being. This trust in our deep intelligence transforms our relationship to decision-making. Instead of exhausting ourselves in endless mental analyses that go in circles, we learn to consult this inner wisdom that instantly integrates a multitude of parameters that our conscious reflection could never process separately. This integrated wisdom often expresses itself through what we call intuition, but which actually reveals the natural functioning of our intelligence when it is no longer hindered by the tensions of control. This liberated intuition rarely deceives us because it draws from sources of information infinitely richer than those accessible to our analytical mind. In our relationships too, letting go reveals profound transformations. One of the most painful aspects of our bonds with others comes from this tendency to want them to correspond to our expectations or to evolve according to our desires. This subtle possessiveness, whether it concerns our children, romantic partners, or friends, creates relational tensions that impoverish the quality of our exchanges. Relational letting go teaches us the difficult art of loving without possessing, supporting without smothering, accompanying without directing. This transformation doesn't make us indifferent to others' well-being, but allows us, on the contrary, to help them more effectively by respecting their own rhythm and inner wisdom. Mencius expresses this relational wisdom with remarkable accuracy. Helping someone is like helping a plant grow. If you pull on the stems to accelerate growth, you will destroy the plant. If you create the right conditions and let nature do its work, growth will happen by itself. This horticultural metaphor reveals that true love often consists of letting go of our intervention urges to trust the natural process of development. This relational trust liberates relational dynamics of unsuspected richness. When others feel truly free to be themselves in our presence, they reveal facets of their personality that remained hidden under the pressure of our expectations. This mutual revelation considerably deepens intimacy and complicity, creating these spaces of authentic encounter, where each can flourish according to their own nature. This relational quality reveals one of the most beautiful dimensions of letting go. It transforms our possessive bonds into spaces of mutual freedom where each can express the best of themselves. This transformation doesn't make us lose our loved ones, but on the contrary, allows us to discover them in their most authentic truth. Practically cultivating letting go requires progressive learning that can be inspired by techniques developed by contemplative traditions. One of the most effective approaches consists of beginning with bodily letting go, because the body offers immediate and tangible experimental ground. A fundamental practice consists of developing what one could call the breath of letting go. This simple but profound technique consists of using exhalation as a moment of conscious release. With each exhale, we let go not only of stale air, but also of tensions, preoccupations, tensions that have accumulated in our body and mind. This breathing practice can be progressively refined. Inhale while consciously gathering all our dispersed energies. Maintain this unification for a few moments, then exhale while letting go of everything that is not essential to this precise instant. This conscious breathing creates micro moments of letting go that, repeated regularly, progressively transform our habitual relationship to control. Another precious approach consists of cultivating what Zen masters call beginner's mind. This quality of freshness that approaches each situation as if it were entirely new, without projecting onto it our past experiences or future expectations. This perceptual freshness can only be born from letting go of our certainties and mental habits. This practice of fresh mind transforms our relationship to all our daily challenges. Instead of approaching each problem with our ready-made solutions, we learn to open ourselves to the creative novelty that each situation contains. This openness liberates possibilities for action that our habitual mind could never conceive, because it remains locked in its familiar patterns. Zhuangzi illustrates this creativity of letting go through the famous story of the perfect butcher. What I love is the way's path which surpasses technique. My knife has no thickness, and what has no thickness has abundant space. That's why after 19 years, my blade is still like new. This parable reveals the secret of effectiveness born from letting go. It consists of finding these natural spaces in each situation, these points of least resistance where our action can insert itself harmoniously without violence or energy waste. This sensitivity to natural intervals can only develop when we release our will to control sufficiently to perceive reality's subtle movements. This sensitivity reveals the art of good timing that characterizes all action born from letting go. Instead of acting according to our subjective urgencies or arbitrary calendars, we learn to sense those privileged moments when our intervention will be most beneficial and least energetically costly. This synchronization with natural rhythms transforms our efficiency while preserving our serenity. In the emotional domain, letting go reveals even more spectacular transformations. Our difficult emotions, anger, sadness, fear, frustration, lose their oppressive character when we cease fighting against them to learn to welcome them as temporary inner weather. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation, but recognition of their transitory nature and informational function. This transformation of our relationship to emotions liberates unsuspected emotional creativity. Instead of passively suffering our affective states or repressing them through discipline, we discover that we can dance creatively with them. A sadness welcomed without resistance can transform into compassion. An anger traversed consciously can reveal powerful creative energy. A fear looked at directly can become wisdom and prudence. This emotional alchemy reveals that our emotions are not our enemies, but our potential allies, provided we know how to welcome them with the right quality of consciousness. This discovery radically transforms our psychological balance. We cease fearing our own reactions to learn to use them creatively. The most subtle level of letting go concerns our relationship to results and future projections. This dimension perhaps reveals our deepest and most difficult attachment to release. The illusion that our happiness depends on the accomplishment of our plans according to our preferred modalities. This illusion maintains us in a state of chronic anxiety because it makes us dependent on factors that largely escape our control. Letting go of results doesn't ask us to renounce our aspirations, but to learn this creative confidence that knows our deep intentions will always find a path to accomplishment. Even if it differs from our initial projections, this confidence liberates a particularly powerful form of action because it is no longer hindered by fear of failure. When we act without clinging to results, we can invest all our energy in the quality of our present engagement rather than in worry about the future. This total presence to action often radically transforms its effectiveness. The Taoist master Yang Ming, legendary creator of Tai Chi, taught his disciples this fundamental maxim: act with all your energy, then let go of the fruits of your action. It is in this alternation between total engagement and serene detachment that true mastery is born. This alternation between engagement and detachment reveals the fundamental rhythm of all balanced action. It liberates us from this chronic fatigue born from anxious attachment to results to open us to this joy of pure action that finds its reward in its own quality rather than in its external consequences. This joy of detached action transforms our relationship to work and effort. Instead of exhausting ourselves in activities motivated solely by their external results, we discover this deep satisfaction born from the perfect accomplishment of each gesture, independent of its repercussions. This intrinsic satisfaction liberates a creativity and endurance that no longer depends on external motivation. But letting go perhaps reveals its deepest dimension in those moments when we are forced to release our grips by circumstances themselves. Illness, separation, professional failure, loss of a loved one. These trials sometimes force us to let go of attachments we would never have released voluntarily. These forced releases can become precious initiations if we know how to approach them with the right attitude. Instead of suffering them in revolt and bitterness, we can learn to see them as invitations to discover inner resources we would never have explored otherwise. This transformation of attitude completely changes the impact of these trials on our personal development. The Tao Te Ching expresses this wisdom of creative transformation. When people see beauty as beautiful, ugliness appears. When they recognize good as good, bad manifests. Being and non-being engender each other. This dialectical vision teaches us that our greatest losses can become our most precious gains if we know how to let go of our rigid definitions of happiness and unhappiness. This perceptual flexibility liberates a form of existential creativity that can transform the most difficult circumstances into opportunities for deepening and growth. It reveals that letting go is not just a stress management technique, but a life philosophy that opens us to the infinite richness of each moment. This richness is particularly revealed in simplicity. Letting go teaches us to find the extraordinary in the ordinary, the sacred in the everyday, plenitude in simplicity. A bowl of tea, drunk in consciousness, becomes communion with the present moment. A nap taken without guilt becomes deep regeneration of all our energies. A ray of sunshine welcomed in gratitude becomes a revelation about the free beauty that constantly surrounds us. This revelatory simplicity teaches us that authentic happiness doesn't depend on accumulating extraordinary experiences, but on our capacity to perceive the already extraordinary character of our ordinary existence. This transformed perception liberates this spontaneous joy that perhaps constitutes the most precious fruit of letting go. A joy that asks nothing of life because it recognizes that life already gives us everything. This gratitude without specific object transforms each day into a sanctuary, each moment into an occasion for silent celebration. It reveals that we carry within ourselves the temple of peace we were so desperately seeking outside. This inner sanctuary doesn't depend on any external condition, for it is nourished by this pure recognition that the simple fact of being conscious and alive already constitutes an unheard of miracle. This recognition radically transforms our relationship to existence. We cease running after hypothetical happiness situated in an idealized future to settle into this plenitude that is already available here and now, provided we know how to release our grips on what is not and fully welcome what is. Let us return now to our monkey and its coconut. Imagine that one day, exhausted by its vain efforts and inspired by the example of wiser monkeys, it finally discovers the art of opening its hand. In this simple but revolutionary gesture, it doesn't just lose a few seeds. It gains its freedom of movement, its capacity for exploration, its potential for discovering even more delicious nourishment. This liberation reveals the ultimate promise of letting go. By renouncing our limited grips, we open ourselves to life's unlimited abundance. By ceasing to cling to our small securities, we make ourselves available to the great creative adventures that existence reserves for us. For authentic letting go is not a loss, but an opening. Not an impoverishment, but an enrichment. Not a weakness, but a superior strength that knows how to use suppleness where rigidity fails. In this creative suppleness is revealed perhaps the supreme art of living, that which transforms each constraint into opportunity, each difficulty into teaching, each instant into a doorway toward a more free, more creative, and more joyful existence.